Have you ever wondered why dating feels harder today than it did 5 years ago? Why someone can swipe through 100 profiles yet still feel completely alone at the end of the night? Let me tell you this, dating in 2025 isn't about chasing attention anymore. It's about mastering connection. And if you understand the shifts that are happening right now, you're going to be ahead of 99% of people still playing by last year's rules. Have you ever noticed how quickly we judge someone online these days? A single swipe, a 2-second glance at a profile, and boom, we've already made up our minds. Here's the thing in 2025, authenticity isn't just attractive, it's the foundation of connection. And I'm not talking about that overused, just be yourself advice you've heard 1,000 times. I'm talking about the kind of authenticity that makes people stop scrolling, lean in, and think, there's something different about this person. Think about this for a moment. Most people are still stuck in this trap of perfection. They're polishing their profiles like they're preparing for a job interview. The flawless photos, the witty bio they spent 3 hours crafting, the I'm always hiking, traveling, or drinking lattes in Italy montage that doesn't actually reflect their real life. But the truth, people are over it. They don't want perfection anymore. They want someone real. They want to see the crooked smile, the random hobby, the messy, unfiltered version of you that makes you human. Why? Because we're living in a time where we're bombarded with artificial everything. Artificial images, artificial intelligence, artificial conversations. Authenticity cuts through the noise. It makes you memorable. Imagine meeting someone who isn't afraid to show their goofy side, their vulnerabilities, their actual life instead of the highlight reel. That's the person you want to talk to because you feel like you can trust them. And trust in this world of infinite options is the rarest currency of all. Now, here's where most people get it wrong. They think showing their authentic self means oversharing every little detail or venting all their insecurities up front. That's not authenticity. That's emotional dumping. Being authentic is about alignment. It's about your actions matching your words. If you say you're adventurous but haven't left your neighborhood in months, there's a disconnect. If you say you're looking for something meaningful but ghost people after one date, there's a disconnect. The people who thrive in dating now are the ones who show up consistently as the person they claim to be. Picture this, you're scrolling through profiles and you come across someone with a blurry photo of them laughing with their dog. A bio that says something simple like, big fan of late night drives and terrible karaoke, and their answers to prompts are honest and maybe even a little vulnerable. Instantly, you feel like you know them a little. That's the effect of authenticity. It's not about the most curated or polished version of you. It's about the truest one. And it's not just about how you present yourself. It's about how you interact too. In conversations, authenticity means actually listening, responding honestly, and not trying to mold yourself into what you think the other person wants to hear. So many people sabotage their connections because they're busy performing. They agree with everything, pretend to like things they don't, or avoid sharing what they really want because they're afraid of scaring someone away. But here's the reality. The right person can only find you if you're willing to be seen. There's also a subtle power in being unapologetically real. When you own who you are, flaws and all, you send a message that you're confident, grounded, and self-aware. That confidence is magnetic, not the loud, in your face kind, but the quiet confidence that says, I know who I am, and I'm okay with it. People feel safe around that energy, and safety is what creates deeper attraction. Here's what happens when you try to fake it in 2025. People sense it. We've all developed a radar for inconsistency because we've been exposed to so much of it online. Someone says they love deep conversations but only texts at 2 a.m. Red flag. Someone claims they want a relationship but dodges any talk about values or compatibility. Red flag. Authenticity is your filter. It weeds out the people who are just playing games and draws in the ones who are looking for the same depth you are. And this doesn't mean you have to be perfect at it. Being authentic isn't about being flawless. It's about being honest. It's okay to admit when you're nervous on a first date. It's okay to say you're looking for something serious instead of pretending you're just seeing where things go. If that's not true, every time you show up as your real self, You're teaching people how to connect with you in a real way. The truth is, dating has changed, and so have the rules. But authenticity, that's timeless. In a world that feels increasingly fake, the bravest thing you can do is be undeniably, unapologetically you. That's how you stand out in 2025. That's how you create real connections that don't just feel good in the moment, but actually lead somewhere meaningful. Because at the end of the day, it's not about attracting everyone. It's about attracting the right someone who sees you, the real you, and chooses to stay. Have you noticed how dating apps have turned into a numbers game? People are swiping endlessly, juggling 10 conversations at once, thinking that more matches mean better chances at love. But here's the truth in 2025. The smartest daters have realized that it's not about quantity anymore. It's about quality. It's about being intentional, about understanding that depth of connection will always outweigh the thrill of endless options. The problem with having too many options is that it creates this illusion of abundance while leaving you emotionally empty. You might get 50 likes in a day, but how many of those people do you actually connect with? How many of those conversations actually excite you? The reality is, spreading your energy across dozens of shallow interactions doesn't build anything meaningful. It drains you. It distracts you from the one or two people who could truly align with what you're looking for. Think about it like this. When you go shopping and see 100 pairs of shoes on display, your brain gets overwhelmed. You end up staring at them all, paralyzed, and often leave with nothing. Dating is no different. Too much choice leads to indecision and shallow investment. The people who are thriving in modern dating are the ones who filter early, the ones who know exactly what they want and aren't afraid to say no to what doesn't fit. They aren't looking for every possible match. They're looking for the right match. Being intentional starts with knowing your standards and your non-negotiables. If you don't know what you want, you'll settle for whatever gives you temporary attention. But when you're clear, when you know your values, your relationship goals, and the type of energy you want in your life, you stop chasing everyone. You start attracting the ones who are aligned with you. This isn't about being picky for the sake of being picky. It's about protecting your time and your emotional space. And here's something that many people don't realize. Maybe you entertain keeps you from meeting your yes. Every time you invest energy in someone you're not truly interested in, you're draining energy that could be spent building a real connection with someone who's genuinely compatible. That's why quality over quantity matters so much. You don't need 100 conversations. You need one conversation that lights you up, that feels effortless, that leaves you excited to learn more about that person. This shift to intentional dating also changes how you show up. Instead of sending generic messages or half-hearted responses, you engage with depth. You ask better questions. You actually listen to the answers. When you meet someone, you pay attention not just to what they say, but to how they make you feel. Do they make you feel seen? Do they make you feel heard? Do they make you feel safe enough to be yourself? Because chemistry without emotional safety is just noise. It won't sustain a real relationship. Technology will keep evolving, but no app or algorithm can replace your ability to focus your attention on quality interactions. Sure, AI-driven compatibility tools can help you find matches that align with your preferences, but the real magic happens when you slow down and invest in getting to know someone beyond the surface. That's where depth is created. And depth is what turns a date into a connection, and a connection into something lasting. Another thing to understand is that intentional dating requires courage. It's easy to get caught up in the comfort of endless matches, to think, if this doesn't work out, there's always someone else. But courage is saying no to the wrong connections, even when it feels lonely in the moment, because you know your time is too valuable to waste. It's choosing to focus on fewer people, to invest in conversations that actually go somewhere, instead of keeping your calendar full just to avoid being alone. And when you do meet someone who feels right, focusing on quality over quantity gives you the space to nurture that connection properly. You're not distracted by 10 other conversations or comparing every date like a spreadsheet. You're present. You're engaged. You're giving that person a fair chance to show up as themselves, and in return, you're able to show up fully too. This doesn't mean you have to stop exploring or close yourself off to opportunities. It means you stop letting dating become a passive habit and start treating it as an intentional process. You're not just swiping to kill time anymore. You're looking for resonance. You're looking for the people who share your values, your pace, and your vision for the future. And here's the beautiful part. When you prioritize quality over quantity, dating becomes lighter. It becomes less exhausting because you're no longer performing for an endless audience. Instead, you're creating space for something real to grow, for connections that feel easy, natural, and mutual. In 2025, the people who win at love aren't the ones playing the numbers game. They're the ones who slow down, filter wisely, and focus on building something meaningful with the few people who actually matter. Think about how much technology has changed the way we meet people. Just a decade ago, dating apps were simple swipe left, swipe right, maybe send a message and hope for the best. But in 2025, the game has evolved. Algorithms are smarter, platforms are more advanced, and artificial intelligence is now in your pocket, quietly observing, predicting, and suggesting who you should meet next. It sounds futuristic, maybe even a little intimidating, but here's the truth. The people who will thrive in this new dating landscape are the ones who know how to use technology as a tool, not a crutch. The biggest mistake people make with modern technology in dating is thinking it can do the work for them. They rely on the algorithm to make all the choices, to hand them the perfect partner without them having to truly engage. But no matter how advanced these systems get, no app can replace your intuition. No line of code can sense chemistry for you. Technology can create opportunities. It can open doors you didn't even know existed. But it's still your responsibility to walk through those doors with clarity, presence, and intention. Here's what's happening right now. AI-powered compatibility tools are analyzing more than just your profile. They're looking at how you text, how quickly you respond, what kinds of people you spend time chatting with, even your energy in video calls. They're building patterns to suggest partners that feel like a match on paper. And for many, this is a game changer. Gone are the days of endlessly swiping through people who have nothing in common with you. Instead, these systems are helping filter out noise so you can focus on quality connections. But here's the thing, smarter technology also demands smarter users. If you're not clear on what you want, if you're still treating dating like a game of chance, even the most advanced algorithms can't help you. You have to input clarity to get clarity back. If you say you're looking for a committed relationship, but your profile screams casual fun, the system will pick up on the mixed signals. Technology reflects what you put into it. The people who are succeeding with these advancements are the ones who are intentional. They're using the data these tools provide, from compatibility scores to communication style matches, as a starting point, not the final answer. They know that while technology can highlight someone who shares their values, only real interaction can confirm compatibility. That's why the human element still matters more than ever. Imagine you're chatting with someone suggested by an advanced compatibility tool. On paper, you're a 95% match. Your interests align, your values overlap, even your sense of humor is supposedly a match. But when you start talking, something feels off. Maybe they're distracted. Maybe the conversation feels forced. That's your intuition speaking, and it's something no technology can measure. This is why learning to trust yourself, to listen to your instincts, is critical in 2025. Another important shift happening with technology is video first dating, with high-quality video calls and virtual reality dates becoming more common. People are getting to know each other faster and more deeply before ever meeting in person. This can be a great thing because it saves time and emotional energy. But again, it only works if you show up authentically. Putting on a performance for the camera might get you attention, but it won't build a connection that lasts. Technology is also making dating more global. You're no longer limited to people in your city or your neighborhood. You can meet someone halfway across the world and build a connection that would have been impossible 20 years ago. This opens up incredible possibilities, but it also requires clarity. Are you ready for a long-distance dynamic? Do you know how to communicate consistently across time zones? Technology creates opportunities, but you still have to decide which opportunities fit your life. And here's something that often gets overlooked. With smarter technology comes the need for smarter boundaries. It's easy to get caught up in the constant notifications, the endless pool of profiles, the dopamine hit of new matches. But when you're always chasing the next best thing, you risk losing sight of what you actually want. Setting limits on your time, your energy, and even your use of these platforms keeps you grounded and focused on real connections instead of temporary validation. The future of dating isn't about outsourcing your heart to an app. It's about leveraging the tools available while staying rooted in who you are and what you're looking for. Technology can make the process more efficient, but it will never replace the human elements of curiosity, vulnerability, and emotional connection. In 2025, the people who succeed in love are the ones who see technology not as the solution, but as an ally, a way to enhance their dating journey without letting it control their choices. So, as dating evolves, the lesson is simple: let the tech guide you, but let your intuition lead you. Use the data, the insights, the matches, but remember that a relationship isn't built on algorithms. It's built on moments, on effort, on presence. In a world where artificial intelligence is everywhere, the most powerful thing you can bring to dating is still your very real, very human self. Have you ever met someone who just made you feel instantly comfortable? Not because they had the best looks or the most charming lines, but because they truly listened, really paid attention, and made you feel like the only person in the room. That is the quiet power of emotional intelligence. In 2025, emotional intelligence isn't just a nice bonus in dating. It's the most valuable currency you can carry, and it's reshaping the way people connect and build relationships. Emotional intelligence starts with presence. In a world where distractions are everywhere, presence has become rare and deeply attractive. Think about it, most people are half in, half out. They're on a date, but checking their phones. They're listening, but only enough to respond with something clever. Real presence is different. It's putting down the phone, maintaining eye contact, and listening not just to the words, but to the feelings behind them. It's showing someone that they're not competing with the noise of your day, that in this moment, they have your full attention. That small shift makes you magnetic because genuine focus makes people feel valued in a way most are starved for. But emotional intelligence isn't just about listening, it's about understanding. It's knowing how to read the room, how to sense someone's emotions even when they aren't saying them out loud. This doesn't mean you have to be a mind reader. It's about awareness. Noticing body language, tone of voice, the subtle changes that reveal what someone is really feeling. When you can pick up on those cues, you stop guessing and start connecting. That connection is what builds trust, and trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship. Another layer of emotional intelligence is communication, not just talking, but expressing yourself in a way that is clear, honest, and kind. So many connections fail because people don't know how to express what they need or want. They assume the other person should just know. But in 2025, the people who stand out are the ones who can articulate their boundaries and desires without fear. They can say, I'm looking for something meaningful, or I really value consistency, without playing games or worrying about scaring someone off. That clarity doesn't just weed out the wrong people, it draws in the right ones, the ones who appreciate directness and maturity. And let's talk about empathy, because it is the heartbeat of emotional intelligence. Empathy is what allows you to step outside yourself and see things through someone else's perspective. In dating, this skill changes everything. When you can truly understand where someone is coming from, their fears, their hopes, their past experiences, you stop taking everything personally. You stop assuming their hesitation means rejection or that their guardedness is about you. Instead, you create a safe space for them to open up, which deepens the connection naturally. Self-awareness is another key piece of emotional intelligence, and it might be the most important of all. If you don't know your own patterns, your own triggers, your own strengths and weaknesses, you're going to keep repeating the same mistakes. Self-awareness allows you to recognize when your fear of rejection is making you defensive or when your desire to be liked is making you settle for less. It gives you the power to pause, reflect, and respond with intention instead of reacting impulsively. That kind of maturity is rare and it's incredibly attractive. What's interesting is that as technology advances and dating moves faster, emotional intelligence becomes even more valuable because it slows things down. It creates depth in a world obsessed with surface-level interactions. When you show emotional intelligence, you're telling someone, I see you, I value you, I'm here, fully present. And that kind of connection is what makes people stop, take notice, and lean in closer. But emotional intelligence doesn't just help you attract better connections, it also protects you. When you're emotionally intelligent, you recognize red flags sooner. You notice when someone's words don't match their actions. You sense when someone's attention is scattered or their interest is shallow. And instead of rationalizing it away, you make decisions that protect your time and your heart. Emotional intelligence is what keeps you grounded, what allows you to walk away from situations that aren't right without bitterness or regret. The beauty of emotional intelligence is that it's not something you're either born with or without. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be developed. You develop it by paying attention, by practicing active listening, by reflecting on your own patterns, by putting yourself in situations where you're not just trying to be interesting, but genuinely trying to be interested. Every time you choose to be present, every time you choose to respond with empathy instead of judgment, you're strengthening this skill. In 2025, where so much of dating is fast, curated, and performative, emotional intelligence is what cuts through the noise. It's what makes you memorable, not for what you said or how you looked, but for how you made someone feel. Because at the end of the day, people don't remember the clever lines or the perfect profiles. They remember how you made them feel seen, heard, and understood. That's the quiet, powerful magic of emotional intelligence, and it's what will always set you apart in the modern dating world. Boundaries have become the quiet superpower of modern dating. In a world where connection can be instant, where you can meet someone online in the morning and be on a date by the evening, boundaries are the thing that protect your time, your energy, and your heart. They are not walls. They are filters, a way of saying, this is how I expect to be treated, and this is how I treat myself. In 2025, if you want to build healthy, lasting connections, you have to master the art of setting and holding your boundaries without apology. One of the most common mistakes people make in dating is believing that having boundaries will push people away. They worry that if they say no, they'll be seen as too difficult or too demanding. But here's the truth: the right person isn't intimidated by your standards. They're drawn to them. Boundaries don't scare away people who are serious. They filter out those who were never ready to meet you at your level in the first place. And that is exactly what you want. Think about how much energy gets wasted entertaining situations that never should have started. How many times have you found yourself making excuses for someone's inconsistency, waiting hours or even days for a reply, or pretending you're fine with something that actually hurts you? Boundaries are what stop that cycle. They are your way of saying, I value myself too much to accept less than respect, clarity, and effort. And when you live by that standard, you stop chasing and start attracting, because confidence is magnetic and nothing communicates confidence like healthy limits. Boundaries also create space for the right kind of connection to grow. When you're clear about what you will and won't accept, you're giving someone a roadmap for how to love and respect you. You're saying, this is how I want to be treated, and I will hold you accountable to that standard. The right person will rise to meet it, the wrong one will fall away. Either way, you win, because your energy is no longer wasted on people who don't align with your values. And here's where many people struggle. Boundaries are only as strong as your ability to enforce them. It's easy to say, I won't tolerate inconsistency, but it's harder to actually walk away when someone keeps canceling plans or disappearing for days. But every time you hold firm, every time you walk away from what doesn't serve you, you reinforce your own self-worth. You teach yourself that your needs matter, that your time matters, that you matter. Boundaries aren't just about saying no to others. They're also about saying yes to yourself. They create space for self-care, for reflection, for growth. They help you stay grounded when the excitement of a new connection tempts you. to abandon your own needs. They remind you that you don't have to rush, that you don't have to compromise your peace just to keep someone interested. When you have strong boundaries, you're able to slow down, to evaluate a connection for what it is instead of what you want it to be. And boundaries aren't rigid rules. They're living, breathing expressions of self-respect. They can evolve as you evolve. What felt right for you last year might not serve you today. Maybe you've realized you need more clarity around communication or more consistency in effort. The point is, as you grow, your boundaries should grow with you. They're not about creating barriers. They're about creating alignment, ensuring that your relationships match the person you're becoming. There's also a subtle confidence that comes with boundaries. When you know your worth, you stop negotiating with people who don't see it. You stop chasing validation from those who only give you crumbs. Instead, you step into a space where you can calmly, unapologetically say, "This doesn't work for me," and walk away with your head held high. That kind of energy is powerful. It shifts the dynamic from trying to be chosen to doing the choosing, and that changes everything. The beauty of boundaries is that they don't just improve your dating life. They improve every part of your life. They help you show up as your best self because you're no longer drained by situations that take more than they give. They allow you to be present, to invest fully in connections that actually matter because you've created space for them to flourish. And that presence, that groundedness, is what makes you magnetic to the people who are aligned with you. Boundaries are the quiet framework behind every healthy relationship. They create the conditions for trust, respect, and intimacy to grow. Without them, you end up in situations where you're constantly guessing, constantly doubting, constantly compromising. With them, you create clarity, stability, and mutual respect. And in 2025, when the dating world is faster, louder, and more chaotic than ever, that clarity will be your greatest advantage. The truth is, boundaries are an act of love, not just for yourself, but for the people you date. Because when you know where you stand, you make it easier for others to meet you there. You're no longer sending mixed signals or playing games. You're creating an environment where real connection can thrive. And that, more than anything, is what transforms dating from something draining and confusing into something empowering and deeply fulfilling. Confidence is magnetic, but here's the truth most people overlook: real confidence doesn't come from trying to impress anyone. It comes from doing the work on yourself, from building a life so full and grounded that dating becomes an extension of who you are, not a desperate attempt to fill an empty space. In 2025, self-growth isn't just a nice bonus when it comes to dating. It's the foundation. It's what allows you to attract not just attention, but respect, alignment, and genuine connection. Think about the most captivating people you've met. They aren't always the loudest in the room or the ones with the most perfect appearance. They're the ones who seem completely comfortable in their own skin. They walk into a room with quiet certainty, not because they think they're better than anyone else, but because they know who they are and they like that person. That energy, grounded, calm, magnetic, is the direct result of self-growth. When you invest in yourself, you stop approaching dating from a place of need. You're no longer searching for someone to validate you, to make you feel worthy, or to give your life meaning. Instead, you show up already full, already content, and you invite someone into that fullness. That shift changes everything. It takes the pressure off dating because you're no longer trying to prove your value. You're simply sharing who you are and seeing if someone aligns with that. Self-growth also creates clarity. When you spend time working on yourself, building your career, nurturing your passions, cultivating friendships, taking care of your mental and physical health, you develop a deeper sense of what actually matters to you. You stop chasing superficial traits or temporary sparks, and you start looking for something deeper: shared values, emotional intelligence, mutual respect. That clarity helps you filter better, choose better, and build better connections. The beauty of focusing on self-growth is that it naturally raises your standards, not in an unrealistic way, but in a healthy, grounded way. When you know your worth, you don't tolerate breadcrumbs. You don't waste months in situations where your needs aren't being met. You don't try to convince someone to see your value because you already see it yourself. This doesn't make you hard to please. It makes you discerning. And discernment is what allows you to build relationships that are actually fulfilling. Another powerful shift that comes from self-growth is emotional resilience. Dating in 2025 can be fast, unpredictable, and sometimes disappointing. Ghosting happens, connections fizzle, and not everyone you meet will be your person. When you haven't done the work on yourself, those moments can feel crushing. But when you've built a solid foundation within, you handle rejection differently. You don't spiral into self-doubt or question your worth. You see it for what it is, a sign that the situation wasn't right for you. And you move forward with your confidence intact. And here's something that often gets overlooked. People are drawn to people who are actively growing. Passion is magnetic. Curiosity is attractive. When you're pursuing your goals, learning new things, and creating a life you love, you naturally radiate an energy that others want to be around. You're not just waiting for life to happen, you're actively building it. That energy doesn't just attract potential partners. It attracts the right kind of partners, the ones who are also growing, also intentional, also committed to building something meaningful. Self-growth also teaches you the importance of balance. It reminds you that while dating can be exciting and fun, it should never consume your entire identity. You are more than your relationship status. You are more than the attention you get or don't get. When you've cultivated a full, vibrant life, you bring a sense of security and stability into your dating experience. You're not afraid to walk away from what doesn't serve you because you know you're already whole without it. And here's the deeper truth. You attract what you are. If you're operating from a place of insecurity, you'll attract situations that amplify that insecurity. But when you're grounded, when you've done the inner work, you attract relationships that reflect that growth. You find people who respect your boundaries, who value your depth, who are capable of meeting you where you are, because you've set that standard through the way you live your life. The path of self-growth isn't always easy. It requires honesty. It requires you to look at your patterns, to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore, and to commit to becoming the best version of yourself, not for anyone else, but for you. But that work pays off in ways that go far beyond dating. It transforms the way you carry yourself, the way you communicate, the way you build connections in every area of your life. In 2025, the most attractive thing you can do isn't perfecting your profile or memorizing the perfect lines. It's investing in yourself, your health, your passions, your growth, your joy. Because when you're genuinely happy with who you are and the life you're building, you stop searching for someone to complete you. Instead, you look for someone to complement you, someone who adds to the abundance you've already created. And that's when dating stops being a struggle and starts becoming an exciting, empowering journey. Dating in 2025 isn't about chasing trends or trying to outsmart the system. It's about coming back to the fundamentals of connection. It's about being unapologetically authentic, choosing quality over quantity, using technology as a tool instead of a crutch, and leaning into emotional intelligence to create depth in every interaction. It's about setting boundaries that protect your time and energy and committing to the kind of self-growth that makes you magnetic without even trying. The truth is, the rules of dating have changed, but the heart of it hasn't. People still crave to be seen, heard, and understood. They still want real connections, built on trust, respect, and genuine chemistry. What's different now is that the world moves faster and distractions are everywhere, which means the people who slow down, get intentional, and truly show up are the ones who will build relationships that actually last. Love in this era isn't about finding someone to complete you. It's about finding someone who complements the life you've built. So show up as your real self. Stay clear on your standards. Use the tools available to you, but never outsource your intuition. And most importantly, keep growing, because when you evolve, the kind of love you attract evolves with you. This is the future of dating, not a race, not a game, but a journey of self-awareness, patience, and deep, intentional connection. And when you approach it that way, you don't just find love, you build the kind of love that lasts.